Levels of disappointment. Which side of the ball did they land on more? Are you ready to panic about the Houston Texans after the 0-2 start? And of course, we have to look ahead to week 3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars and a little discussion about the quarterback and what we've seen out of him to this point of the season. We got it all right here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And starting right now on this Houston Texans Squad Show, we're getting right into the hard stuff. Michael Connor and Stan Norfleet, we're with you here every single week. John's not off tonight. We hope everything's going well with him. He'll be back with us this Sunday following the Jacksonville Jaguars game, where we'll also be joined, of course, by former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith. Make sure you catch us as soon as the game's in. There were a ton of you watching us live the other night. We greatly appreciate it. Numbers were huge. Big time stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure, of course, you can find this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Go search Locked On Texans. You get this show and John's Locked On Daily show as well. Stan, we've had a couple of days now for the Houston Texans loss to digest. I will say for me before we start, I'm not feeling any better about things right now. I don't feel good about things right now. My level of optimism for a man that was in our predictions shows, I was a 12-win guy, I think. That's way out the window at this point. Yeah, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. But something that you brought to the conversation here that actually, as soon as you sent this to me, I was intrigued, completely intrigued. More disappointment. Where did you have more disappointment in that loss to Tampa? On the offensive side of the football or the defensive side of the football?
Appreciate you always, MC, the opportunity to talk some Texans ball, and we have to kind of laugh to keep from crying based on what we've seen through these two games. And in terms of where the blame or the responsibility, you use the term disappointment. And I got that segment from my boys over there on the 610. You hear those guys at AM locally here in Houston on the Drive. Shout out my guys. That's the show, Clint, and of course, T. Mill. And it sounded from that group, they put more of the onus on Monday night, which was embarrassing, by the way. That was the most watched Monday night game on ESPN since 2008. The numbers came out today. So that's a whole bunch of people.
People love football. The Texans have no national draw. Let's be honest.
Big market, again, early start time. The West Coast, everybody settled in. So let me get to answering the question. I don't understand how people can say, I do understand how people can say the defense. I just disagree. Yes, the defense got the ball ran on them. Yes, it was a 2-minute drive, 80 yards. I believe it was 11 plays, and they give up the rushing touchdown from what was it, the 6-yard line or so, give or take. I get all of that. But for me, I have to quantify what this offense was supposed to be and where they are relative to the rest of the league. Regardless of how we feel about the defense through the first two games, the defense is averaging, giving up 17 points a game. That there's only 6 other teams in the league giving up more points. The defense was also out there for 72 snaps and 14 minutes of additional time versus the offense. I don't care who you are, 85 Bears, 2,000 Ravens, you can't go out there. And I said it after the show, remember, MC? I said this team wore down late, and then you go look at the tape, as this is kind of a pseudo second tape Tuesday, and then you go match that with the numbers. They were out there forever. So, no, I can't give that to the defense. Now, for offense, and now I'll swing it to you, MC, this offense through 2 weeks, this was a team that was shut out. Didn't score a touchdown in week 1. Shut out in the second half of week 2. And I'm going to say the 6 points scored in the second half was the Nick Chubb flukish touchdown. And there are many, MC, and I said it after the game. They agreed with me that they believed that the Tampa Bay baited the Texans into scoring that touchdown to give Baker an opportunity to do what he actually did. But here's what I say to that offense. C.J. Stroud, 1 touchdown. Let's see here. Oh, no, excuse me. That's for the year. Offense, This is the worst offense in the league, MC. 32nd in points per game, 27th in points per play, 32nd in red zone percentage, 32nd on third down. With CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, still an above average tight end in this league, and Dalton Schultz. Titus is out there. A lot of people, including me, like what we've seen from Ursery. You all told me that these second and third round receiving respectfully would show up.
All right, I'll take it back. I'll take it back.
I'm just trying to quantify why I feel this way. The bottom line is, in the fourth quarter, the offense on the 1 yard line, including a fourth down, came up empty. Then on another possession, they had 3 other tries. They were 0 for 2 in the red zone, 3 other tries in the red area, and they could not score.
Yep.
For me, and I ask you, super long-winded way of saying, MC, how could you be more disappointed in the defense?
I will say I can see a bit of an argument for disappointment in the defense when we go back to the key penalties that were made in the game. Those penalties, I really think, I mean, they were just so massive at the time. The ripping the helmet off, I mean, just huge.
Illegal shift in the second quarter.
Not getting off the field, I think, is the biggest. And look, you're right. They played a ton of plays. You're putting a lot on them, but I can see where there are some elements of the defense where you have a bit of a level of disappointment. So I can see a little bit of it. Do I completely agree with it? No. All of the disappointment so far is because, like you said, look, I rode the optimism train. I definitely fan out a little bit when it comes to this football team still.
I understand. I get you.
Yeah. I want them to be good.
I do too.
But yeah, I know you do. Yeah, but it's just, they've sucked. I will say that in 2 weeks, they've sucked my optimism out of them offensively. And, after the show the other night, I don't know how much longer you guys ended up talking for the people that
we went
watching.
For a little while.
Okay. We after the show, the little thing that we're in, we could still talk. But I thought Wade brought up something good to us off the mic the other night, was that, this is a style of offense that there's literally only been one person that's been successful at it. And I don't want to completely write the book on it after 2 weeks. But I've got bad vibes, man. And I just don't know how to get over them. So I will still continue to lean, like you, towards I've got more disappointment overall for the offense at this point.
CJ Stroud, and I know we'll talk more about him in this show in a little bit. CJ Stroud, there's something real going on. And I thought the guys on the drive on 610, my boys brought up a good point. And it actually was former NFL quarterback Clint Sterner. He says, guys, this isn't just 2 games in 2025. This is spilling over from 2024. CJ Stroud has played average at best football from about the midway point of last season up until the present day. Now, he's not alone. He's not the only one culpable. And again, we'll get to him in just a little bit. But at the end of the day, I thought, yes, it was disappointing that the defense would drive down, that they would allow Tampa to take it to 80 yards. And think about how Tampa was able to do it. Everybody is talking about in the media, writing about and speaking about Henry Toto on the 4th and 10, not bringing Baker Mayfield on the ground in a one-on-one scenario. When you're on the field for 72 snaps, at that time, a high 60s count, you're going to be fatigued. I teach this to young defensive players all the time. You don't tackle with your helmet and you don't tackle with your arms. You tackle with your feet. You have to move your feet in position to tackle, like taking a charge in basketball. Well, what happens when you get fatigued, for those of us that used to hoop too? Your feet don't move. So what I saw in D'Amico in his presser immediately after the game and in the days that followed, D'Amico said the tackling was porous. And he doesn't teach that. Typically, those guys tackle better. They aren't wrapping up because they were fatigued. The Texans are on the field, the defense, way too much. And so your form goes to, you know what? I'd say I got to watch my language on this show. So your form goes to, and then when you get a good football team, and last point, like, this is no secret what Tampa's doing. They've been playing like this since Baker's arrival in 2023. Like, this is what they do. They put the ball in his hands. No one has more passing touchdowns than Baker in the league since coming into Tampa in 2023, replacing Brady. This is not circumstance. They scared the bejesus out of you on the perimeter when they got Mike Evans. Chris Godwin wasn't even out there. And then they got a rookie, Emeka Egbuka, who has 3 touchdowns in 2 games. I, for one, wanted Emeka Egbuka. I wanted Texas to go up and get him from 25 to get in front of Tampa or whoever else and grab him. I thought he would have been an excellent addition, no disrespect to Higgins or Noah. But, like, MC, did you see the screen game that Tampa was running? The variety of their screen packages. They had the Texans off balance. You got monsters on the perimeter. They're able to run the football with Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White. I just thought, did you see him go tempo? I wrote that down in my notes. I think that was in the 3rd quarter. There it is, early in 3rd quarter. They started going hurry up to make those Texans defenders tired. Late in the 4th quarter, D'Amico had to call a timeout so that Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil could catch their breath. I thought it was a beautifully executed game plan offensively by Grizzard, their first-year offensive play caller.
I agree. And I think that looking at them and, you know, like you, we're viewers of football in general. And I think that that's, you know, through 2 weeks of the season. And I was talking to somebody about this earlier today, actually, at the airport. And they asked me, you know, what do you think of this offense, the new offensive coordinator? I go, it feels the same. Like, everything about what they're doing game plan wise, okay, so the schemes might not be different, but to me, game plan wise, it still feels too conservative. It feels too scared, whatever word you want to use to describe it at this point. That's where I land at. And then, you know, you brought up a minute ago all the play. I look back at this too. The time of possession. And you mentioned how great Tampa just dominated the time of possession. 37:09 to 22:51.
MC, I need people to understand that's an entire quarter of football.
You're not going to win a game like that.
Tampa's offense with that quarterback and a Super Bowl winning coordinator in Todd Bowles, the experience he has with the pressure packages, they kept the ball for a quarter more than C.J. Stroud's bunch.
It's crazy.
And then you go 0 for 2 when you do have the ball. So you're not scoring. You're porous on 3rd down, the Texans are, and then you're allowing the opposition to maintain a quarter's difference. I think it's unreasonable to ask the defense to go out there and be better than that. What do you want them to do? We're surrendering 17 points a game. Like that, if they were to keep that up over the course of the entire season, that literally would be, in the modern era of football, that would be a top 10 defense of all time.
Yeah,
it would be one of the top 10 defenses of all time. It's crazy to me. And look, MC, while you're on it, and I probably cut you off. I'm sorry. You know how.
No, you're good. You're good.
I understand people are saying, again, Godwin wasn't out there. Gedeke leaves. Their right tackle leaves with a foot injury early in the 1st quarter. So their backup is Charlie Heck. So they're out there with a guard or a center that's playing tackle. And you would think the Texans would win that. But again, I come back to what we said in the immediacy of the post game there. It was funny. We watched the Canelo Bud Crawford match on Saturday, me and some of the guys.
Yeah, he put it on.
Stylistically, Tampa proved we are the better team physically at both lines of scrimmage.
Yep.
And so if you're Nick Caley, and you're getting punched in your face by 2 playoff teams in your weight class, you got to go back to the drawing board and go, all right, how do we fix this? And I come back to you, MC, and I go, because some people are, who is it over here in the comments? Jalen Johnson, 0339. The screen game was working with Woody Marks, and they stopped going to it. Nick Chubb did some good things on Monday night as well. But I don't think Chubb and Marks are the answer. To me, without Joe Mixon, and if they can't get Nico the ball and be more creative, we're going to look at more of the football we've seen the last 2 games. So this is really me asking you about, is this about Nick Caley for you? Is this about D'Amico for you? Or is this about they're not utilizing the rookies, including Woody Marks, Noel, and Higgins offensively creatively that they could be using?
I think that's a fair question, and I think honestly, I think that can be a combo of everything. In all, in all truth to it, the running game with Woody Marks and whatnot. I get what your standpoint. Like, you might not trust that. I know that you don't trust rookie running backs necessarily like that. I think it's hard to know until you give it a fair run. Exactly with him, because I don't mind taking shots with rookie running backs. We see guys all the time. God, who was it the other night we were watching?
Oh, you see guys all the time in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You see running backs go for the work.
Who am I thinking of?
Kyron Williams for the Rams is like a 4th or 5th round pick. Now, the Texans bottled him up, but he had almost 1,300 yards rushing last year. You see guys all the time.
So that's why I don't have a problem with, like, if they wanted to give him a deeper dive, go for it a little bit. I'm okay with that. I feel so bad. I feel so. Yeah, he is. I feel so bad that when you bring up D'Amico and Kaylee. Like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to Kaylee on a lot of that. And maybe this is the Texans, the nostalgia of what D'Amico Ryan's career was and what he's meant to this franchise, and bringing back the fan base from the era that was previous. I hate being mad at him, but the onus is on him. He's the head coach. There's no other way around it, right?
And he said that's all he said in the post game. He said the buck stops with him. Yeah. And he understands they have to get it fixed. There is still time. We'll get into what it means to be 0-2, and I can provide the numbers on what that means in terms of trying to accomplish all the goals that the Texans have in front of them. And we will also get to C.J. Stroud. But if the question is, relative to the game Monday night, am I more disappointed in the defense of the offense? To me, it's the offense, and I'll tell you why. And I'll layer on everything that I've said. Look at what special teams did for the offense. A missed field goal. Guess what happened when the Texans got the ball back after the Tampa field goal miss? Turnover on downs. A blocked punt. That led to the Kami Fairbairn 53-yard field goal. Okay. The 53-yard no return set up what I thought was the walk-in, let him have it for the sake of time, Nick Chubb touchdown. So, like, I keep asking myself, the special teams and the defense have put you, at least in terms of Monday night, in the best situation to be the best version of yourself. And D'Amico is saying his timing with the quarterback. The quarterback is saying, I don't know, miscommunication. The quarterback saying, I don't understand what coach is talking about. He didn't say coach by name, but he said, I didn't get the miscommunication. They are not on the same page on that offense. And for the first time in Stroud's young career, he's not beloved. He's not the fan favorite. The Boo Birds were out on Monday night. People were leaving the stadium when the game was still nip and tuck. I know some people personally that were getting out of here. They did not believe. All of that favor, I shouldn't say all of it, a good portion of the favor that has been curried by this fan base based on what this team has done the previous 2 seasons. Expectations have risen, and with that comes pressure. And this is a young head coach. This is a first-time offensive play caller, first-time offensive line coach. And we'll talk about CJ and the pressure percentages and all that, but I'm like, D'Amico, you can't do that. There's no way with CJ Stroud you're supposed to go out there with the worst scoring offense in all of pro football. That is unacceptable on every level. Nico Collins leading a half of football with 3 targets and 1 catch, albeit a very good touchdown. You just can't do it. So, MC, some people are upset that Darray's in the game and Darray gave up a sack and 2 pressures. I'm going off the top of my head here, forgive me. I normally have that handy. The offensive line was okay. But CJ Stroud is still getting hit, 6 sacks through 2 games. So anyway, I know we need to go to break, MC. I'm getting PO'd all over again because these
Welcome to the club.
The penalties, 3rd down, red zone, clock management. These are all things that we've been talking about with D'Amico's team the last 2 years. I'm not calling for his head, but I'm saying, to me, the answer for this football team and this offense is not Woody Marks starting.
No.
It's not Woody Marks getting 10 touches. That's not the answer. Some people say, well, put Higgins and Hutch, and we're going to get Christian Kirk back, and Kirk will help. But the answer ain't going 4 wides and we're going to just throw the ball all over the yard. That ain't it. because that's not how this team's built. I think to punctuate it for what Wade said when we were on the postgame show on Monday, they rolled the dice on a patchwork offensive line, some young, inexperienced weapons, an often injured wide receiver from Jacksonville, a first-time play caller, and a first-time O-line coach. And they said, we can fix CJ because we're going to change how the offense looks. It was a risk, and right now they roll the dice and they're crapping out.
It absolutely is. So, are we panicking about it? We'll talk about it here in a brief second. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Right now, though, let's talk about your vehicle. Let's talk about Mazda. Yeah, Mazda. Let's talk about them because they craft cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IAHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings in the same intention to how they craft every car. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Somewhere we're here on the screen. There we go. Texan Squad Show continues. I'm Michael Connor. I Stan Norfleet. We're with you every week, midweek, and after the games as well. Don't forget to join us again after the game Sunday noon. Finally back to where they belong, baby. Noon football for the Houston Texans for the next few weeks. Really until the next Monday Night Football game, actually, which would be against the Seahawks after the
That's a good Seattle team, too.
It's a good Seattle team, yeah. I'm going to be worried about every single matchup. So we've talked about all these things. We've talked about all these problems. We're going to get deeper into some of it as we continue to go here tonight. But Stan, I'm going to assume my level of panic is different than yours because I will always admit I've got more of the fandom side to the Houston Texans than my objective side with it, because it's been the one team that I've never been all that involved with in terms of when we were professionally doing it radio-wise, to where I was able to keep some of that fandom there. How much panic do you have for the Texans at this point at 0-2? And then you look in the division, obviously, I don't think it's going to be a great division still, but Indianapolis is off to a pretty good start compared to what you've done so far. So where's your level of worry, panic?
I would definitely concern, if you want me to get the old Fleetometer, the panic mechanism, I would say in terms of
have you trademarked that yet or patented it or something?
The Fleetometer, I should have filed for a trademark. I would say in terms of winning the division, I'm probably at about a 6. The Texans will be better. What we don't know, those young guys will get like more confidence, a word that CJ Stroud used for his offense. But they've got some work to do. Look, the Indianapolis Colts don't have a scoring problem. What Daniel Indiana Jones is, and they've got a good roster. They've got some
33 points and 29 points in the first 2 weeks of the season. Yeah.
Listen, they're playing good ball. They played Miami the first week, and I forget who they played in week 2.
They put the Broncos. Put it on the Broncos.
Yeah, so that's a good defense. So the Colts are for real. We'll see what Jacksonville presents on Sunday. The Jacksonville Jaguars lose. That's at Cincinnati to Burrow's Bengals, and Burrow goes down late in that ball game with that turf toe. We now know that he's out. Jake Browning comes in and puts a touchdown on the board for the Bengals, and Jacksonville loses by 4 at Cincinnati. So it's clear that Jacksonville is formidable, and we'll deal with them, as we get into the show and later in the week. I put my panic meter at about a 6. I'm not ready to close the book. I think the Texans will have their moment that it looks a lot better and meet our expectations. But again, I come back to the level of competition. You got to get ready to play the Ravens and Buffalo and Kansas City. And you got other teams and the Broncos and the 49ers. Like this schedule, all of a sudden, which opened this season as the 14th easiest based on the 2024 winning percentage, this schedule, MC, all of a sudden doesn't look as light as some was giving it credit for now that we're 2 weeks into this thing. Now, injuries are going to happen to everybody. Where would you put your panic at?
I think my panic meter for me is at an 8 right now, just because I just don't like the signs I'm seeing. I think you bring up a good point with the schedule. You mentioned all the teams. They do have Kansas City in there as well. Now, to me, the onus on this to bring my level of panic back down is, and we're starting with that this weekend, and then next week, and again we'll get to those games. But if they don't crush the AFC South in those games, like honestly, if this team does not go 5-1 against the AFC South right now, like I do think that my panic meter will be a 10 easily.
They lose on Sunday. If they lose on Sunday, I'm gonna be up there with you at an 8.
Yeah, I mean, because look here, historically, Jaguars, they always beat the Jaguars, but like I've hit the point already where, and look, I'm a patient person overall in my life. Like I'm a pretty patient person.
I'd agree with that.
I have some patience for change in sports. I have patience for a lot of things. I think in this sport, and I know, Stan, you're not much of a Premier League soccer guy like I am. This is where these two sports like intertwine. It's the only time I'll ever bring these up. I see the parallels in how fans go about panicking and wanting changes because it's the same in that sport as it is here. Like people freak out over one game. And I can get that when you only have the limited amount of them that you have. And I think that right now, I feel like my panic level being at an 8 is worthy based off what I've seen because, again, I don't see anything that looks different offensively. You know, I don't see the aggression that I wanted to see. And you guys brought that up when you went out to camp in the summer when we're doing those shows. You talked about how CJ's you don't see CJ out there. And I'm not putting it all on CJ, but you didn't. It always felt like to me when you guys were talking about what you saw is that the vibe wasn't there for the command and the expectation and the demand of players around you. And I feel like that's what we've seen so far.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I feel like that's what we've seen so far, and that's what scares me.
DeMeco Ryans using his presser. And it's a buzzword that, to your point, I've seen and others have seen since training camp. This team does not operate, going back to lollygagging, this team does not operate offensively with a sense of urgency and aggression and confidence, a CJ Stroud word. These are all words that the organization has used for those that want to say, I love to hate on the Texans. I'm just telling you what they say, right? I just tell you what my eyes see and what my experience along with my sourcing tells me. I don't go to practice every day, so I lean on some of the reports from those that do. But I've been around ball for most of my adult life, and I can tell you, large part, again, I said the Texans would lose 23-20. I didn't predict the Texans to go in the Rams and win. And I don't know if you've seen this. Do you know that the Texans right now are 1.5-point dog at Jacksonville for week 3?
That's
now, I'm not going
better than I thought it'd be.
I want to say it opened at 2.5, but I'm not. Maybe with I don't know. There's some.
The bettors really don't respect the Jaguars.
Well, and then the Texans are going to get healthy. Jake Andrews practiced today. Christian Kirk and Berrios both practiced today, so they could be getting 2 starters back and a key contributor from the return game from a Berrios. We'll see. Did Jalen know Wally Berrios? Is Jalen Noel now the returner for this team? I don't know. We'll get to that. So let's quantify this. You know, I appreciate my Stanalytics. The Texans have started 0-2 8 times previously. They made the postseason 3 of those times, including most recently in 2023. Okay? Since 1990, 0-2 teams are reaching the postseason 11% of the time. Since the playoffs were expanded, about 12% of the time. So we'll see. We'll see. Like, it don't look great. It don't look great.
It doesn't.
But we've seen this team. We've seen this team be counted out before. Nobody thought 2023 would look like that. You know, nobody thought, given how the game versus the Browns went during the regular season in 23, that playoff performance, that masterful playoff performance led by DeMeco and CJ in that playoff game in 2023, and then come right back in 2024 and do that to Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, like that's impressive. But you got to lay a lot of bricks down that brick road to get there. and they start 0-3, and I wonder, and I ask you, when you talk about panic, I'm starting to be uncomfortable with CJ and the organization and what they say versus, I'm perfect, MC.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of times over there at Dyken Park that things get said, and then I go look at what actually happens, and they don't match. From injuries to roster to lineup, like it's a lot going on. I think the Texans are the same way. They have this, we're going to swarm and we're going to be physical. Nick Caley and D'Amico both said we're going to get Nick Chubb more touches in week 2 than he had in week 1. He had 1 fewer. So
yeah, that's good. What was his number? Super low.
It was like 13. Here it is. Nick Chubb, 12 carries for 43 yards.
He had 13 week 1, yeah.
Now, do you know what his numbers were before that? Before that carry that I think Tampa let him score, he was averaging 1.6 yards per carry. So when people keep saying Chubb and Marks, I'm just like, I don't see that that's the key. It could help, but I don't know that that's the key. And then Damian Pierce was a healthy scratch, coach's decision. Be curious to see what that's about. I'll be at an 8 with you if they come up short this weekend. And look, we'll talk more about this this Jacksonville team in just a little bit. The Texans right now are in competition with the Texans. You can't ask more of the defense and the offense, the defense and special teams. You can't ask for more than what they've done. I just don't think that's realistic. Will Anderson Jr. had 10 pressures, 10 on Monday night. Danielle Hunter is the 15th fastest to get to 100 sacks? Like, what else? Stingley took Mike Evans out of the game. Yep. What else do you want them to do? I get it. You got to tackle better. I understand. We talked about the 72 snaps. Henry Told, could you please wrap up? I understand that. Azeez Al-Shaya, brother, please catch the football when they throw you the near interception. Catch the football. I know you've been working on your coverage in the offseason. Need you to catch that football. But we're really starting to nitpick in terms of reasonable expectations. This is about the offense. And I'm comfortable saying that. The Texans are 0-2 because they have the worst offense in the NFL. And if you go look at the numbers and watch the tape, they match.
They do. And that's why I'm right there at the 8 right now. And guess what? I'll be at a 10 after this weekend if it happens again. All right, let's start to take a little bit of a look into that Jacksonville matchup, things that need to be better this weekend. Maybe try to bring some optimism to it. We'll do that here in a brief moment. Locked On Texans Squad Show. Hey, maybe you're feeling the optimism for the Texans this weekend. Football season's full on here. FanDuel, they're here to make sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy. It's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by heading to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Squad Show continues. Michael Connor and Stan Norfleet here with you this evening. We appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. If you're live, of course, don't forget to subscribe and come back. We'll be live after the game ends Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which that leads us to this point with Jacksonville. Stan, can this be the get-right game? The slump buster, per se, for this team. Historically, they have always played well against this franchise. We've seen some really big offensive explosions against them. I think Jacksonville has an expectation that they're going to be better this year. Obviously, new head coach. They had the high draft pick in Travis Hunter. A lot of the same. They've always had some weapons down there. But is this the get-right game? Do you look at the schedule right now and say this is the game where the Texans get right?
I think it would be dismissive of my brand. I'm just an objective dude. And I get it. When you work in local markets and you covering the local teams, people want you to fan out. And that's just never been my brand. You can ask any other NFL market I've worked in. People get PO'd at me all the time. But more often than not, I'm right about my evaluation. That's not being braggadocious. That's just saying, hey, can y'all trust me on this? And trust your own eyes. I would ask the most battle red-hearted Texans fan watching this broadcast, be honest with yourself. The quarterback is broken right now. He's been broken for 2 seasons. The offensive line, they rolled the dice. You all told me that getting rid of Tunsil would help this team, addition by subtraction. Now, the offensive line, Ursary has had moments that he's been solid. He's also, as every rookie will, he's had his lunch handed to him. Titus, I believe, has been the highest graded offensive lineman. But offensively, and I may have to eat a little bit of crow on Jared Patterson. Vita Vea was just in the interior defensive line of Tampa.
He's good.
They were just destroying Jared Patterson. Bless his heart. But I guess what I'm saying is you all told me moving on from Laramie was a good thing. And the way this offense is constructed, how can you trust that? I've also been very vocal, and the numbers bear it out. This team under D'Amico's leadership continuously loses games on the road. Go look at his home road. Now, most coaches' home road, winning percentage is going to skew to the losses. But D'Amico, look at the type of losses. Week 1, at Atlanta, at Carolina, at the Jets. Year 2, at the Jets, at Tennessee one of those years. At some point, we got an issue here.
9-8 or 9-9 now on the road in his career in the regular season.
I would presume there are probably 10 coaches. You know the names: Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, John Harbaugh. I mean, I think the really good coaches would be above that. So he's probably hovering about average, and I have not done the homework. But if you ask yourself, the Jags, I just told you, they almost beat Burrow. Burrow went out with the injury and all that. So we'll see. When I look at what the Jags have to offer, there are weapons. Now, Brian Thomas Jr. in his second year, you talk about a sophomore slump. He is not doing the type of things on the perimeter he did last year. He's got the dropsies. They've got De'Ami Brown coming over from Washington. He's kind of a wide receiver 2, really a wide receiver 3. Travis Hunter's been playing a lot of offense for them. Our first time seeing Travis Hunter as a pro. The offensive line, they've got some high draft choices up there, some names we know. Anton Harrison at that right tackle out of Oklahoma. Walker Little in the second round a couple years ago out of Stanford. So those will all be familiar. Who else they got? And then Travis Etienne back there in the backfield. He's been doing a lot of good stuff this year. The defense is formidable as well. And here's why I come to you, Michael. If you were going to play the Texans, based on what you've seen through 2 weeks, if you're Jacksonville and you've got Trayvon Walker, a former #1 overall, and there's Eric Armstead that played for D'Amico in San Francisco, and there's Josh Hines Allen. He's a monster wearing that 41 jersey off the edge. There's Fourier Luakon. Devin Lloyd is a 2022 first-round draft selection. And you got Tyson Campbell, an above-average corner in the National Football League and is paid appropriately. And I'm leaving out, there's former Houston Texan Eric Murray. He's starting at safety for them. If you were playing the Texans right now and you were Jacksonville, offensively and defensively, what would you do based on what you've seen through 2 weeks?
I would still blitz them like crazy, and I would try everything in my being to get my running game established and eat clock. Right?
It is on tape. You are 100% right. You and I didn't talk about that in the pre-show meeting, but it's so obvious, and I haven't scrolled through the bottom of the comments just yet. It's obvious. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers pressured C.J. Stroud 41% of the time. Though it's on tape for 2 years. If you dial up pressure, this team will play bad football. If you can bottle up the run, make the Texans one-dimensional, and bring pressure, whether it's the back, Dare Ogunbowale, whether it's a rookie in Ariante Ursary, Cam Robinson had some decent moments, in that game against the Rams. You certainly can't put Blake Fisher. Jared Patterson didn't have a good game. Blake Fisher and Juice Scruggs can't even get on the field, which is a whole nother mess. Nick Caserio, there's a problem. You got 2 second-rounders you traded up for that are just chilling on the bench for you, not playing at all, like zero. That's crazy.
His job security has to be in danger. I can't imagine it's not.
I think there are going to be some really uncomfortable, and I want to be on record. I wish John Hickman was here because he would confirm, and you've heard me say it. Mm-hmm. I said, if this thing doesn't go well, if they're one and done again in the postseason, somebody's going to have to pay the price. That's just football.
You don't get there, you got to too.
And if you don't get there, you got to have that conversation for sure. The quarterback's not going anywhere. We'll talk about him in a second. The head coach is probably not going anywhere. Who does that leave? Owners aren't going to fire themselves. That leaves the general manager. And has Caserio done some positive things, maximizing the Deshaun Watson trade, going to get Stephon Diggs, moving on from Laramie Tunsil, and what he got back for moving on from Laramie Tunsil? Yeah, cleaning up the salary cap, bringing in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, being able to get rid of Kenyon Green. But hell, Caserio, you the one that chose Kenyon Green when you could have had Hamilton in Baltimore. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Caserio, you have some ammunition to keep him. If you are willing to move on, you have all the ammunition you need to say, I want to move on. But specific to Jacksonville, and they like to bring pressure anyway. They're going to bring some pressure packages. And this Houston Texans team has to prove. Now, they proved it week 1 versus the Rams. I don't think Kyron Williams had a really good day, so they were able to bottle him up a little bit.
Yeah.
But this Trevor Etienne dude and this run game, let me ask you this. Are you picking Texans to win on Sunday? It's unfair.
Yes.
I'm asking you to predict, and you're predicting the Texans to win.
I can't pick it. Now, this is a little bit of fan in me. I can't lie. I don't like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't like their fans and their Duval, like Duvaldes. But I will say, I think more than anything, I think the reason I will pick the Texans in a slight win is because the historic match. They just never seem to play poorly against them, and I just expect it. I just expect them to go down there and win. So, for as bad as I feel, I think they'll find a way to scrap their way to their first win of the season. You?
Right now. See, I have to separate what I want to happen and what my football eyes tell me. Oh, I would probably take Jacksonville in a close one right now. And I can't wait to see how do the Texans respond to the pressure. We're going to learn a lot about D'Amico Ryans and his leadership and Nick Caley, because all week, like D'Amico hears it, the players hear it. D'Amico said all week, or thus far in this week, they are really, really close. They're really, really close.
Well, if you're close, you better show it this weekend.
MC, I'm tired of hearing that BS. That's what they kept saying last year. We're real close to the offensive line getting fixed. We're real close to the offense breaking out. Like, at some point, dude, the proof is in the pudding. Again, I'm not pushing anybody out the door right now. I'm just saying and I know we'll talk about the quarterback to close this thing out in a little bit. For me, it starts with the quarterback. And I go, hey, man, do I trust C.J. Stroud to go on the road right now versus a competitive Jacksonville Jaguars team? I can't say I trust it. I have hope. I want it to be fixed. I want it to be better. A lot of people talking about, hey, Nick Caley, why don't you go to a quick game? I'm looking at my notes from the Tampa game. First quarter, Nick Chubb, screen pass, 27 yards. Further down, later in the game, I'm trying to, where was it? Later in the game, they had a screen pass for 37 yards to Woody Marks. A lot of people are asking, where is the quick game? Why are the receivers still running routes on top of each other? CJ, the ball placement specialist, CJ missed the throw to Nico in the end zone. Some people have an issue. Why is CJ rolling to his left? And he has options on the right side of the field. I'm like, look, it's not uncommon for a quarterback to roll to his opposite arm if he sees something, he has to get out of the pocket. He's looking at some route combinations. Maybe they have a levels concept, a deep, intermediate, and short option on that side of the hash. I'm not saying I love it. I'm saying it's not the worst thing in the world. People are saying, why is Nico Collins off the field on third down, period?
He should never be off. He should play 100% of the offensive snaps.
So when you get silly things like that, it just makes me go, operationally, I don't trust the Texans right now. Now, to start this year, I predicted the Texans to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what I've seen. And
I predicted them to start 3-0, so I might as well stick to it.
What area of this ball club do you feel best about? So let's not be all doom and gloom.
Special teams.
Think about what you just said.
I know what I said, and it makes me feel gross inside. Maybe the only thing
we trust Miami Fairbairn.
I don't trust the punter. I don't think he's very good, but whatever.
We trust Miami Fairbairn the most out of everybody on that can score for this team, other than Nico. And Nico can't throw the ball to himself. He can't protect the quarterback that throws the ball to himself. So what do I trust? The thing I trust the most on this team, quite frankly, is that pass rush. Yeah. I think the Texans boast the number one pass rush duo in the National Football League.
I think that's fair.
Problem. Tampa just showed you those guys can be impactful, and you can still lose if you play a certain style. Will the linebackers get back? People are asking, wait a minute, if Henry was tackling like that and with the fatigue that the guys were having, why didn't Christian Harris play more? People are asking, why is EJ Speed not playing more? By the way, speaking of special teams, he lowered the kaboom on somebody. What was that? What quarter was that? Oh, it was in the first quarter on a kickoff return. He ran down on kickoff and blasted some dude. Why aren't the other Texans linebackers getting more snaps, especially with the defenses out there all day? Don't know. I
don't know a lot of things about this football team.
They also have to get back to taking the ball away.
Yes.
Right? We haven't seen Stingley and Lassiter and Bullock take C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We haven't seen them take the ball away. No interceptions on Monday night. I can't recall. Did Stafford throw a pick?
No.
Oh, excuse me. Did he throw a pick on last Sunday? So they have not taken the ball away yet from an interception standpoint. I'm going off the top of my head here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Or even ripping out a fumble, something. I know there's a lot of luck involved in turnovers and whatnot, but man, you're right. Like this one of the things the team's got to be good at. They're not good at it.
It can be habitual. So we'll see. I hate that we won't get another show in, you and I, before we get to the actual prediction. Right now, I would go slight advantage Jacksonville, and largely it's because I don't love where the quarterback is. The guy wearing 7 that had on all white on Monday night, there's something going on here.
Let's talk about him. We'll do that here in a brief second. Are you worried about CJ Stroud? Locked on Texans Squad show continues. Before we get there, though, let's talk about your money. Who doesn't love money? That's right. Most people, though, they can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel free and in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. We continue on the squad show. Michael Connor and Stan Norfleet with you for a few more minutes as we're breaking down all things Houston Texans like we do every week in the middle of the week. And then, of course, after the games, we're live breaking it down. What we see out there on the field will be live Sunday, probably in that 3:30-ish window based on how long these games typically go. For an hour with John Hickman and Wade Smith with us as well. So let's talk CJ. Actually talk some CJ here for a minute. I asked you panic mode, concern, all those things earlier. I'm going to start with because I just want to see where you think I am at here. I feel like I am watching a quarterback that is scared still. I feel like I'm watching a quarterback that is not in command of his huddle still. And for the first time since he has been in the league, Stan, I am concerned that I am not watching a peak franchise type of player. A game changer type of player. I think the skill of being incredibly accurate is still there. It's something that he has been gifted with. He is so incredibly accurate when he puts a football on somebody. But I am just not seeing I don't need you to be crazy loud. I don't need him to but I just need you to be more in command. And I don't feel that right now. Where are you with CJ Stroud and what does he need to do better to help the Texans get out of this funk and get to where they want to be this year?
It's a fascinating topic, and we really could do a whole show on CJ. So I'm going to try and condense it down. Before we get to the Stanalytics, I wanted to see, first of all, like we had CJ that historic rookie year. And then, quite frankly, the fame and the success got to him a little bit. And then he went on an off-season binge. CJ got it in, and then he came out there and played like that last year. So there's a good article. I believe, that might be DJ Bieniemy. My brother DJ Bieniemy on ESPN.com wrote a really good piece. That was either him or Jonathan M. Alexander of the Houston Chronicle that wrote a really good piece about CJ's decisions coming into this offseason to dial some of that stuff back. CJ's like, I want to make sure I keep my faith in the forefront. I want to make sure I stay focused. CJ understands, and he's been vocal. Like, look, you can't really listen to the praise, and you kind of got to dismiss the naysayers at the same time. And that's the appropriate level of focus and concentration. But we're human. This game is played by real people that have feelings and emotions and anxieties and fears. Just because they make hundreds of thousands of dollars and in some cases millions doesn't negate how you and I would feel. You know, I read the comments sometimes too. I'm like, man, that's aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, people's perception of us matters. And imagine being on that scale.
Yeah.
CJ knows that by him being the guy under center, and he's teased us with how excellent he was in year one. CJ knows, and he's been good his entire life. This is probably I don't want to say the first bit, because I know he was like a 3-star kid and he went to some camps and then everybody gave him the 5-star. So he had some adversity early. But it's been, 5 years, 6 years since CJ has had this type of animosity aimed at him. I'm listening to the post-game show after we concluded our show, and you got people on the flagship saying, don't pay CJ Dak Prescott type of money, 60, 62, 65 million. You've got some people saying, go into this next draft and go get you a guy, not a Davis Mills, go get you a real guy that can threaten CJ. This is what some people are saying.
That to me is pushing it too far. I'm okay maybe on waiting on some of the money, but we're not talking we're replacing him yet.
Some people are saying, you got to show me. And I understand the thought. I'm not moving off CJ Stroud because I think to a large degree he's being handcuffed. I think the head coach has done him a disservice by continuing to bring in these inexperienced play callers. I think the head coach and the general manager have done CJ a disservice by what they've chosen to do with the offensive line. Now, Casario would say, Stan, what do you want from me? I chose Kenyon Green. Yeah, that was a bust. I chose Drew Scruggs. Right now, that's a bust. I chose Blake Fisher. Right now, that's a bust. I chose Jared Patterson. Okay, Pat has played the best center for you, but then Vita Vea was Vita Vea on Monday night. Okay, cool. But you also went and got patchwork guys that you knew. were patchwork guys when they were discarded from the other teams. So, like, this isn't a surprise. Casario's not going into his office every day saying, I'm surprised the offensive line looks like that. He knows, no way does he. Casario might be going in there saying, hey, Nick Caley, Popovich, like, are we doing everything we can here? So the quarterback needs help. All of them do. You got Nico Collins. Casario went and got a receiver in Christian Kirk that's been injured the last 2 years, missing significant time. So it's no shock that he's hurt now. And I hope this doesn't happen, but it would not surprise me if later in the year, Kirk misses up more time. And it's not me wishing him on that. I'm not that type of person.
He's going off track
record. I'm just looking at the resume. You got people in the building asking if Joe Mixon is going to be back this year at all. Casario, you knew Joe Mixon hurt himself in the offseason. And the best running back you went and got was Nick Chubb, and you drafted Woody Marks in the 4th round. They have not helped the quarterback. The quarterback is holding on the ball too long. How about this? Let's get to some analytics. I'm sorry, MC, before I go. Anything you want to add to that?
No. I agree with – I think you hit it nail on the head.
The quarterback has been sacked 6 times in 2 ball games. And I went and looked. It's not just the number of sacks, which is among the top in the league. I think there are maybe 3 or 4 other quarterbacks that have been sacked most. Off the top of my head here, Cam Ward in Tennessee's been sacked 11 times in 2 games. Yikes.
Yeah, he's been getting hit.
But, like, it's the 62 yards. 6 sacks for 62 yards. That's 10 yards a sack. That is among the highest sack ratio in the league, or sack percentage in the league.
It's a drive wrecker.
He's making bad plays worse. Baker Mayfield did it perfectly on Monday night. I think it was a 3rd down. The pressure was there. And I think Daniil Hunter got the pressure. He didn't get the sack. Will cleaned it up. But Baker just ate the football. He didn't drift back to make it worse. That's coaching, MC.
Is that experience too, you think? To an extent? Sure. I know he's year 3, which he's still, how old is CJ Stroud? Early 20s still. Is that experience too?
That's experience, but that's also coaching. Like, CJ's got to know. When I was playing with Matt Schaub, I heard Bill Musgrave, a former NFL offensive coordinator, tell Matt, when we come out of this play, when we break this huddle, Matt, no matter what, you can't get sacked here. I don't care. You can't turn the ball over and you can't get sacked. So, like, this makes me call into question, and I believe Gerard Johnson is an excellent football coach. I have seen nothing or heard nothing to lead me to believe that he's not. But at the end of the day, you either coach it or you allow it. And CJ is drifting into these sacks way, way too much. So on the year, CJ, touchdown to interception ratio, 1 touchdown, Nico Collins, 1 interception, week 1 versus the Rams. His completion percentage down to just 62%. He's under 200 yards passing per game. He's at 197, which is down for him. 2 things that I really pay attention to with the quarterback stat. Quarterback rating, so ESPN has the QBR metric. It's not perfect, it's not everything, but it does tell a story because it includes what quarterbacks do with their legs as well. CJ Stroud is 29th out of 32 starters in the NFL in QBR, and he is 24th in passer rating. He has been bad. And I can't believe just because you go into Jacksonville that automatically means it gets better. It can be. Everybody can have a turnaround point. They were shut out in the second half of week 1, and they scored 1 touchdown, Nick Caley. Where are the adjustments after half?
18 drives. I told you the other night, 18 drives, 2 touchdowns this year.
Only 7 quarterbacks have been sacked more than CJ Stroud in the league. So, like, I look at CJ and go, okay, Bubba, this is what makes you a champion. This is what makes when Tom Brady hoisted that first Lombardi, he had overcome some stuff. When Aaron Rodgers hoisted his first and only Lombardi, he had gone through some stuff. Like, when Jalen Hurts is out there hoisting up one as a 2nd-round pick, we all know what happened with him and Tua at Alabama. what he had to go through transferring to Oklahoma, coming into the league, losing to Patrick Mahomes in his first Super Bowl. He had been through some stuff. That's what makes it so sweet when you finally get there. And I'm gonna give it back to you because I see the clock. Shout out to my man, Coach Adrian Stowe in Charlotte. He was my high school defensive coordinator when I was at Vance before transferring to Independence. Adrian Stowe used to tell me, adversity not only reveals character, but it also builds character. You find out what you really are when you're in it and everybody can see it. So CJ is a devout man of faith, as is D'Amico. You're going to need a whole lot of it because it's up against you right now. And I would love to tell a story about them fighting their way up out of it. But this is what it is.
It is. It is what it is. I hate to be that way. It's so cliche, but it is what it is. I think we'll start off our parting shots here. I think for me, I do agree with a lot of what you said there about CJ so far. I think the thing that I want to see, if we're talking about what we want to see out of him this weekend and really the team as a whole, I just want to see what I think is football being played with a little bit of fire in your belly. And you talked about urgency, use the word urgency. We've heard a lot of the gag, and I think it starts with the quarterback. I want more urgency out of you. I want more urgency out of the play calling. If he's not in there demanding Nick Caley get more out of Nick Caley, then we've got a problem there too. But that's what I want this weekend. That's, part of the start of a healing process that, over the next 2 weeks make me feel somewhat like there's any sort of tiny bit of chance you could go into Baltimore and, finally get over that hump. But it has to be about damn near perfect the next 2 weeks for me.
As for everything that I just said about CJ, the coaching is the coaching, but players play on the field. And as a guy that put a helmet on a time or two, I will always believe that. Coaches have to put you in position. General managers have to give you some ingredients to work with. But at the end of the day, especially when you're in a position like CJ Stroud, you got to go out there. You have to mask the deficiencies in the rest of the roster. That's what the great ones do. And it used to be a stat, and I forget the stat now. Green Bay Packers never gave Aaron Rodgers a first-round wide receiver.
Never.
Tom Brady had 6 minutes with Randy Moss.
Everybody else, they were good minutes.
They were historic minutes. But everybody else, Tom Brady had to go creative. Now, he did have excellent tight ends, a Hall of Famer, Gronkowski. Unfortunately, the Aaron Hernandez turned into what it turned into. But, the GOAT was in there making it happen. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, you're one of the best receivers in the league. I'm going to win a Super Bowl without you. The great ones find a way. So I cheer for him, but I really come in from a parting shot standpoint, MC. It's really about the help. Shaq during the NBA season, Shaquille O'Neal always talks about playoff time is about the help. Well, it's crucial. This is DEFCON 2. Christian Kirk, Xavier Hutchinson, maybe it's even, Higgins, somebody, maybe it's Berrios. Somebody needs to step up. Maybe it's Dalton Schultz having one of those games. Somebody has got to step up on offense and stop drifting. Hutch, stop drifting out of the zone, settle down and give CJ a clean target. Somebody, and the help to me, and I see the comments, and trust me, I'm not hating. The help is not Woody Marks. It's just not. That's too much pressure to put on a rookie fourth rounder that you got to come pass pro, tote the ball 10 times, and you got to be a wide receiving threat the 5 times that you catch the ball out of the backfield or the 5 targets you get out of the backfield, you got to go get us a first down every time. That's just unrealistic. Nico is doing everything Nico can do. Somebody's got to help Nico. Somebody, and I don't know who that person is. Maybe this is one of those scripts for the movies. Christian Kirk goes back to Jacksonville, a team that and I want you to hear me clearly, MC. They traded him to the Texans.
In the division.
In the division, they traded you, cuz. They're telling you, I don't believe you're going to come back to bite me. And that's embarrassing. What does Christian Kirk do? So anyway, for me, parting shot, where's the help?
Where's the help is a great, great way to end it here tonight. The help from us is you guys coming back and joining us on Sunday. When the game ends, Stan and I will be there along with Wade Smith and John Hickman as well. We hope you have a great rest of your, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore, Wednesday night. We'll talk again Sunday after the Texans and Jaguars on the Locked On Texans Squad Show.